Cozy life simulation games seem like the genre that would be most incompatible with the free-to-play live service business model. I mean, the constant use of the fear of missing out FOMO strategy to encourage players to spend money on the shiny new thing before it's gone is basically the antithesis of laid-back gameplay. So I never expected that HoYoverse, the creators of games like Genshin Impact, who have solidified themselves as leaders in the gacha gaming sphere, would endeavor to create an Animal Crossing-like game. In this video, I'll be reviewing my experience in Petite Planet's second closed beta test, where I had the mindset of, can a gacha developer really make this work? So you'll have a better idea of if this is a game you should be looking forward to. This video is sponsored by Opera GX. Don't let your browser stop you from experiencing media the way you want to. Say there's a website you want to use that isn't available in your country, you can use Opera GX's free built-in VPN to change your location and gain access. There's also a built-in ad blocker and video pop-out feature, so you'll never have to face interruptions even while grinding out a game. Just like your gaming experience, your browsing should be tuned to your specific tastes with GX mods. There are tons of official and user-generated mods out there for completely free, including themes from Genshin, Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. Adjust things like your wallpaper, background music, keyboard and tab sounds, splash screen, icons, fonts, and shaders exactly to your liking. If you feel skeptical about making the switch from your previous browser, Opera GX makes it super easy by providing a settings importer that can migrate all your browsing history and bookmarks in only a few clicks. You can download Opera GX for completely free today using the link in the description or in the pinned comment. Thank you to Opera GX for supporting the channel. For a bit of context, Petite Planet showed up pretty much out of nowhere in September of 2025, and upon seeing the game, it was hard to believe it really was HoYoverse developing it. At this point, they had already released 2 more successful gacha games after the astronomical success of Genshin, but those all generally followed the same formula, having some form of action gameplay using teams of characters you pull for, with each one potentially costing up to a few $100 if you're unlucky enough. You'd also get premium currency by playing the game, of course, but then you'd ultimately have to make tough decisions on who to skip, which some can handle and others really can't. Petite Planet clearly would not be able to conform to these guidelines no matter how you try to spin it. I didn't get invited to play in the CBT one back in November, but for the second beta I was excited to find out how everything worked, because this is usually around the time when HoYo games are far enough along to closely resemble how the game will play on launch. Development has clearly been very steady for Petite Planet, with full voice acting for most dialogue, complete cutscenes, and just a lot of content to play through. The game starts with the expected introduction and character creator, which notably they added more dark skin tones for, showing they have listened to complaints from the first beta. We learn about the initial cast of characters, our new planet we're moving into, and then starts a long series of tutorials to get us settled in. It's definitely a bit handholdy, but once you're set free, you'll find that there's a lot for you to sink your teeth into. If you've played any Animal Crossing game, you'll already be quite familiar with these, but you can fill out your critter decks, craft furniture, make money in a variety of ways to fund your house, wardrobe, and more, and complete tasks for your planet's inhabitants called neighbors. There's a set of stock NPCs who provide necessary services, being Glenn for the regular store, Morse for everything creature related, and Mobai for home related things, as well as helping you grow your Luca Arbor, which is the game's main linear progression system. Basically, as you do more tasks, you accumulate more essence to grow this tree, unlocking more possibilities for your planet. There's also Elsa Sani, who is your mechanic, fixing up the car you can later use to visit mini islets, where you can get extra resources and meet potential neighbors. This is limited by car batteries though, of which there are only a few available per day. Those aren't the only things gated by time either, as events like construction will require a daily reset to complete, but I was able to play an entire 3-hour session before hitting the first wall. The genre is kind of known for emphasizing slow burns though, so I'll give it a bit more leeway on this front than I'd give the typical gacha game. And of course, there's the randomized NPCs you can meet and bond with, eventually being able to invite them to be a neighbor for your planet. but I'm sure you're much more interested in what this game does that is fully unique. A small one is the hunger mechanic, which requires you to feed yourself so you can do your usual collection stuff. At first it's a bit of a chore, but I also kind of like it because it forces you to engage with the cooking system, which has open-ended recipes where stronger foods give you more total actions. The game also heavily emphasizes social mechanics, with you not only able to visit the planets of your friends, as well as ones you happen to see floating by in the sky, but there's this public area called the Galactic Bazaar that has designated spaces where you can free chat to other players. Like I walked into the coffee shop and saw this person with a funny bamboo outfit, so now I can look forward to trying to get that in the future. There's also emotes if you want to communicate without typing, some of which are given to you by NPCs, and you can hold up a sign if you're looking for specific things to trade for. This is pretty new for HoYo games, which are generally very isolated experiences. You can also find a bunch of mini games, including ones that are enhanced by the presence of others, like gambling on this wheel spin, and some that are open to multiplayer for increased rewards, like this Simon Rhythm game. You don't necessarily need to come here, but there's exclusive items in the shop to collect from a daily currency you can collect here. Speaking of daily currency, Petite Planet has daily missions very reminiscent of a HoYo gacha game. This rewards you with Lumi, which you can also get by completing permanent milestones in exchange for items at the vending machine, but also Mira Lumi, which are much more interesting. At a certain point, you'll meet the fixed NPC Trixie, who introduces the Curio card. After purchasing one, there's a set of items for you to redeem with Mira Lumi. You buy the card with this purple resource that I couldn't find anywhere else in the game, which you can also use to directly purchase Mira Lumi, suggesting this is the game's premium paid currency, making the Curio card something of a battle pass of sorts. So this is the standard FOMO tactic that is pretty common in games nowadays, but I'm pretty sure you should be able to trade these items to someone who doesn't have the card, meaning if there's a past item you really want, you should be able to get it if someone's selling. Additionally, they explicitly state Mira Lumi does not expire, so if a current item set isn't to your liking, you can save up until there's one you want to go all in on. As of now, this system seems like a potential inconvenience, but certainly nothing too terrible. HoYo's influence also shows with the progression for the bonds you can develop with your neighbors. As you interact with them more, you'll branch out this constellation which gives you rewards, but you can also invest into neighbors to unlock their unique items. Archiboo are these fluffy guys you can get just by doing chores around the planet, and the colored ones correspond to specific actions, like blue for fishing. These are what you need to spend to progress a neighbor's planet, with the final reward being a unique cosmetic feature for the look of your planet. Some of these are really nice looking. Even though it's not fully confirmed, it's heavily suggested that these characters will not be locked behind a gacha. The fact that you can encounter them in the wild and it's randomized who you'll see really goes against that idea, even if the UI for the neighbors page looks exactly like Genshin or Star Rail's character menus. I'd honestly be surprised if the Curio card is the only thing you can spend money on, since these free-to-play games tend to primarily be funded by whales who will spend much more than the average player, but right now you'd only be able to expedite your battle pass progress, which just doesn't seem that appealing. Usually with HoYo, the first closed betas don't focus on monetization at all, as they're just trying to get playtests in, but by the second, it should be pretty obvious how it'll work. That's why I'm pretty optimistic it'll be very free to play friendly, but of course be prepared for anything to change. Another aspect I wasn't expecting to talk about but felt like I should is that this game uses AI, though probably not in the way you might expect. At a certain point, you unlock this chatbot that is explicitly stated to have AI generated responses, and even though the game gives you plenty of tutorials, I think it is actually quite helpful to have. Like, I wanted to know if I could move a house after placing it, and it told me I wouldn't be able to until unlocking the Planet Maker app. Without this, I'd either have to go onto the Discord and look around, or just be left wondering, but this answered my question right away. I certainly have my feelings about AI, and I'm sure you do as well, but I will say this is a much more preferable implementation of it, rather than it replacing human work on the creative side. And yes, I tried to be cheeky with it, but they do have guardrails in place. There is, however, another area that really seems like AI is used for, even though it's not confirmed. In the bazaar early in the day, there's an event where you can raise an item's sale price by pitching a story to go along with it. The first time I didn't really know what to do, but once I kind of got what they were going for, I took my super common beetle, made up a story about him appealing to the humor category, and this Aleo NPC responded in real time to my ridiculous prompts, even catching when I made a typo. And in the last second I said thanks for listening to my TED Talk as a joke, which the game also picked up on, ultimately resulting in my beetle selling for 161% of its typical value. I've never played anything like this before, and it was genuinely very fun. I know for some, having AI implemented at all is a red flag, but I just couldn't help but enjoy how it was used here. Overall, you will like this game if you enjoy the gameplay loop of Animal Crossing and are looking for something that will have fresh content and events regularly. I mean, New Horizons had its first major update a year after launch, and then the next one another 5 years later, but I can say with certainty, Petite Planet will be updated much more frequently. This can be a bit of a double-edged sword because you might feel like you missed out on things if you decided to take a break and you can't time travel using the system clock, but in-game social features will hopefully be able to make up for that to some extent. The game clearly isn't finished yet, with way more visual bugs than I'm used to seeing in HoYo games, and because there's pretty few possible neighbors as of now, I don't think we know if there's a limit to how many can be on your planet before you have to kick one out. I wouldn't be surprised if launch isn't until 2027 because of all this. However, the systems that are currently in place are very well thought out. It definitely has that HoYo standard of game design, and at the very least I feel comfortable that if there is anything that really stands out negatively when the game launches, they won't be afraid to reevaluate and make changes as they've done in the past. Petite Planet certainly targets a player base that is quite a departure from their usual audience, but it seems they do have a strong idea of how to appeal to that, and this is a game I will now be looking forward to after playing it. I hope you found this video to be interesting or insightful, and as always, thanks for watching.